Can someone click got it on the Zoom?
I saw it.
Questionable piece here.
It?
Got it. Got it. Got it.
Oh my goodness, that was me trying to play computer video games as a kid. I can't. Okay. I now call to order this Monday, May 2nd, special meeting of the Moab City Planning Commission at 6:02 p.m. In attendance, we have planning commissioners, myself, Kai Marienfeld, Jeremy Lynch, Jessica O'Leary, Ruben Villapando Salas, Britton Ballard, Jill Tatton, planning director Corey Shirtliff, city staff Jessica Thacker and Summer Johnson, as well as city councilor Luke Wojciechowski in the audience this evening. Citizens to be heard. Do we have any citizens to be heard? All right, there we go. Quickly running through this, folks. For approval of minutes, we have minutes from our regular meetings on February 24th, March 24th, and March 29th of 2022. Would anyone like to make a motion to approve those minutes?
I'll motion to approve those.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the minutes from Ruben. A second?
I'll second.
All right, a motion and a second. I guess we will do a roll call because we have some folks digitally. Summer? Okay, I'll call him. All right. All in favor? Jeremy Lynch?
Aye.
Jill?
Aye.
Britt?
Aye.
Jesso?
Aye.
Ruben?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Minutes are approved. Okay, first of 3 action items this evening. Do you want me to go through them in order still?
Yes.
Okay.
Please.
A proposed planning resolution number 2, 2022. A planning resolution conditionally approving the preliminary level 2 site plan and final phase 1 site plan for the Atlas Apartments located on property at 719 West 400 North. This is a briefing and a possible action on this conditional approval.
From the planning and staff perspective on the condition of approval, the necessary documents to achieve that conditional approval have been submitted.
Okay.
Because of the noticing requirements, they have not been included and therefore the agenda has not been updated. So it would be appropriate to conditionally approve, understanding that the applicants have provided that to the engineering department. So we are working towards a final completion that should allow them to move to building permit upon completion of this approval by planning commission.
Great. And for anyone who might be watching, I know planning commissioners all have this in front of them, but these would be new apartments over where the old hospital is. Something finally getting done with that. So, and I think this is one phase of a multi-phase project that also includes some other kinds of multifamily housing, correct, Corey?
Correct. Yeah, there's, as of right now, called out 3 different phases, which will be coming back for their final plan approvals for each of those phases. So what we're looking at right now as an overall 80-unit multi-household development is a phase 1, which is 12 units final, and then a preliminary approval for that whole 80 unit development throughout. So there's additional facilities in the form of potential pool and or rec facilities that will be included, but generally all the packet materials should walk through the layouts of phase 1 and then the overall preliminary site plan.
Cool. All right, I will move that the City of Moab Planning Commission conditionally approve Planning Resolution 2, 2022, a resolution conditionally approving the preliminary level 2 site plan and final phase 1 site plan for the Atlas Apartments on property located at 719 West 400 North, Moab, Utah 84532, with the following condition. A, all outstanding comments shall be addressed to the satisfaction of the Moab City Engineer and Planning Director prior to building permit application approval.
Second.
Okay, we had Ruben second. Any discussion before we move to a vote? Any questions from anybody? We're moving through things quickly, but please feel free to still ask questions if you have them or make comments. Okay, I will do a roll call vote again. Jill?
Oh, no, I was just getting ready to vote.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'll start with Jeremy.
Aye.
Jesso?
Aye.
Jill?
Aye.
Britt?
Aye.
Ruben?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Motion passes unanimously. It's exciting. Let's get some apartments built. All right. Good work, everybody. Moving through. Our next action item is 4.2, a proposed planning resolution 3/2022, a resolution conditionally approving the final phase 2 site plan for the Hoodoo Hotel Phase 2 Casitas on property located at 178 West Williams Way, Moab, Utah 84532. Again, a briefing and possible action.
Perfect. Thank you. In the, similar to that of the first approval, the condition of approval on this project has been submitted through the engineering department. So the elements necessary have been processed. But again, according, due to the noticing requirements, we haven't updated the packet nor the recommended approval. So it would be appropriate to conditionally approve in this case, allowing them to move to building permit once the engineers have given their final approval to those updated documents. The overview for this project again is the phase 2 of the Hoodoo Hotel, which has been preliminary and previously approved for their phase 1 original hotel. This is the 16 casita units that are on the property just behind the hotel. 32 suites will be coming out of this. So it's going to be a split between what will be a split, vertically split, and then horizontally stacked casita style. So we're going to have a mixed type of those, as well as pool facilities, which were originally included in that preliminary approval, but minor amendments have been made over time to accommodate for increased parking requirements. And then what the conditional approval is dealing with is the shared utility infrastructure between the two properties and how that actually works, as this development is occurring on one property and then the hotel is actually on a separate property. The Planning Commission and City Council have actually already approved a platting amendment to allow for the development of this casitas area to be organized on one parcel versus what I believe were 4 properties prior to this. So it was a lot of plat cleanup at this point, just making sure that the easements between the two properties are lined up accurately and where they're supposed to be.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
That was prior to me being on planning commission.
The
so-
original approval?
Yep.
Yeah.
So if members of the public are watching, this might sound strange. It might seem like we are approving something new as far as new overnight accommodations go, but this is actually something that has been in the pipeline for long enough that it predates the city's overlay of only existing overnight accommodations being able to be used as overnight accommodations. So don't be alarmed. It's nothing crazy. It's literally just something that took a really long time. So
Exactly.
Last meeting, we talked about workforce housing. They were going to build something and they're switching out.
Correct. So maybe this will be our opportunity to share a screen. I think I did share last time in light of this as well. We'll go ahead and give it a try here. Wow, that was pretty quick. See if it works.
here we go.
Okay. This is the phase 2 layout. So of course the hotel property being to the east and south of this property. The existing and approved and then developed employee housing component was held within this property, which is now a consolidated parcel along with the parking lot. So it's on its own property now. This section of property was never approved as employee housing, but was debated as additional employee housing associated with separate projects. So the original approval showed the property laid out like this, but over the course of time, the iterations and versions of the development came through showing this particular property as either additional employee housing, overflow, oversized parking, or a mix of that, where they're maybe considering reducing the number of overnight accommodations and putting in oversized parking to facilitate the property. So what they've decided to do in the meantime is account for the additional employee housing that might have gone onto this property is now being housed across the street. If we imagine, you can see my cursor floating up into my taskbars here. But across Walnut Lane, on the north side of Walnut Lane, there's a property that's currently being proposed for 3 manager units, which will later likely be redeveloped as 9 employee housing units in a fuller structure. So right now it's going to be manufactured housing, moved on in the short term, and then long term a housing build out. So I'm stop sharing screen.
Is that done per requirement or is that them?
No, that was pre our Wahoo as
was
well.
pre-Wahoo?
Actually, yep, the Hoodoo got in prior to the Wahoo requirements, but had plans to provide employee housing anyway.
Right. So the property owners own multiple, what I'll call, between overnight accommodations, eating establishments, and other types of property uses within the commercial zone. They're really a member and participant of this community in a way that they're legitimately they understand the need for employee housing. So of their own volition have been searching out opportunities. So even pre-Wahoo, we're looking forward to the essential needs that we're running into.
Yep. Good on you, Mike. All right.
We do have Jeff from Set Engineering in the waiting room.
Okay.
Corey, I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Jesso.
So I'm just curious about the traffic flow in this area because it's not quite clear on this map that's in the packet of where the cars are be coming and going, if they're going to be going directly onto Williams Way, or they all go through the hotel parking lot.
Right. No, that's a great observation. I can share screen if my explanation here isn't good enough. Currently at the Hoodoo Hotel, if you're familiar with that curb cut on what will be the most west side of Williams Way, there's an existing interior curb cut. That's where this will pick up. So there is no new curb cut to Williams Way. They will be going from hotel curb cut parking to these casita parking spaces. Again, that was part of the original layout and approval. So they're sticking within what their preliminary approval was there. And the traffic circulation, along with oversized parking, was meant to allow for these to be serviced almost entirely on their own, apart from that singular exit onto Williams Way. So they can either exit to the north on the 100 West. That's a conflict of different directions right there, I understand. But let me go ahead and share a screen. I think.
Yeah, I'm just, my only concern in bringing it up is turning onto Williams Way from 100 West is already a little chaotic. And since the Hoodoo's gone in, they've done all that work with the safe routes to school. And I, would hope that gets maintained and that we could even, encourage improvement on those safe routes to school because it does pass directly through the property.
I'm not sure I can speak directly to additional improvements that might be included there, but yeah, certainly, I think I'm understanding what you're saying in the hope of continuing that connectivity in light of the increased traffic that we're going to see. And I think part of that will be, like we're saying here, this is the existing curb cut, and you'll maybe remember there's a few big boulders right there, but they've actually started this curb cut already.
Mm-hmm.
So where the current safe routes, my understanding is that it is along 100 West. Is that right, Jessica?
Yeah.
And I know
if you
that
cross Williams Way, there's no protected crosswalk right there.
Right.
And then it goes along 100 West.
Right. And that's what I think the hope with this is, to maintain the existing traffic flows that are historic to what the Hoodoo, and knowing the Hoodoo hasn't been open very long, but in the context of historic, how that's been circulating. So the pinch points are going to be articulated there. So despite there being maybe increased traffic flow, there are not more curb cuts closer together, which I think in the engineering realm is less of a conflict. So it's going to slow traffic on property and allowing the stream of traffic to be concentrated versus multiple exits, which create multiple options or opportunities for conflict. If that makes sense. I'm not sure I'm articulating.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Sidebar about that, I saw 3 classic cars get into a fender bender at that turn right in front of Spitfire this weekend, and it was tragic for the owner of the very nice Corvette who happened to be in the middle of the sandwich of 3 of the cars.
Oof.
Yeah. There was crunching sounds and lots of swearing you could hear coming from the cars. Okay. Any other questions on this item before we take a motion and then take a vote? All right, we can entertain a motion whenever anyone is ready. That would, as usual, be on the agenda summary at the top of your packet for this item. Okay, I will move. Just I need to give other people an opportunity. I move that the City of Moab Planning Commission conditionally approve resolution number 3, 2022, a planning resolution conditionally approving the final phase 2 site plan for the Hoodoo Hotel, phase 2 casitas on property located at 178 Williams Way, West Williams Way, Moab, Utah 84532, with the following condition. All outstanding all outstanding comments shall be addressed to the satisfaction of the Moab City Engineer and Planning Director prior to building permit application approval.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, I have a second from Britt. Any discussion?
Is there an East Williams Way?
It's a good
No.
question. I don't think so. Planning for the future. Okay, we'll take a vote. Motion on the table. Start with Jeremy,
Aye.
Jesso,
Aye.
Jill,
Aye.
Britt. Ruben?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, everyone, for getting through it. Okay, our last item, 4.3, proposed planning resolution for 2022. A planning resolution conditionally approving the city center townhomes level 2 site plan on property located at 196 North, 200 East, Moab, Utah 84532. So this is the first time we're seeing this. Would you do like a short?
I will.
Bit?
Yeah, this with the conditional approval is unlike the previous 2 where there are still outstanding comments that need to be addressed within the engineering realm. They're focusing on storm drainage, so they are minor, comfortable enough that we feel appropriate to bring it to the planning commission. I know in the past, we are really trying to resolve any conditions of approval prior to bringing it to you, so it is a polished product. However, due to what we can blame everything on is supply chain. And in addition to that, consulting and contracting availability. We're trying to be as flexible as we can with a lot of our applicants that are trying to move things forward, but maybe their particular consultant is 3 months out before they can respond, yet everything else is ready to go. So we're comfortable at this point with this particular property to move them forward. I will share a screen again to walk through the civil plan here briefly, just to give the layout. This property located 196 North, 200 East, is the consolidation of properties that we had seen come through city council, what were previously 2 different properties. You can see the dashed vacated property line there. Property coming through strictly as a townhome development. This was one of the properties that was going to be participating on our active employment household ordinance. Seeing as that the city has moved to a pending status with that ordinance, this property has been allowed to move forward without any entitlements or restrictions within that ordinance. So they, talking with the property owner, are just going to move forward with, I believe, some of the intention of maintaining a number of these units and renting them out, which would have been the formatting in which they believe they would have complied with the active employment household ordinance. So I'm not sure the number of units at this point that are going to be retained and rented, but my last understanding is that was the breakdown of how they were going to navigate these.
But no deed restriction.
They will not include the deed restrictions of their own volition. So of course there was, within the context of the ordinance, a loss of opportunity from one perspective, but also as far as doing our part to allow properties within their private property rights to move forward through development. I think this is the appropriate action to allow them to do that, having city council not taken any action. These civil plans walk through really what is a very technical layout. The agenda packet also included what would be a floor plan, elevation, and schematic layout of what will be a block of 4 units. So it will be a repetitious style of construction as they move through those. 2 stories, reasonable height pitched. I can't remember right off the top of my head, but below 30 feet by a decent amount. I think they're in the realm of 27 or maybe 28. Gable styled roofs, not in line with what some of the other developments right now are trying to pursue, that higher flat top roof. So it will be at least a variety mix where we're getting the contemporary styles among some of the more what this is considered traditional style architecture. There really isn't too much more for us to really contemplate. From a planning perspective, a lot of this is just engineering, ensuring that the infrastructure on site is maintained appropriately. I'm scrolling through here. It's not highlighted in color, so it is a little more challenging to see, but this is the layout for the utilities. This style is a private property development, meaning this is not a public street, but rather a private drive, and all the infrastructure included within this development is private. So we'll be metered at the base of each right-of-way entry there. That's really the quick overview. I can certainly address any more questions, but in relative terms, it is pretty straightforward, despite it being a larger number of units, just because it is repeated in that way. There's not a lot of variety in the layout.
Any questions from anyone for Corey?
So are these apartments where they're rented out, or are they condos where they can be sold individually?
They are technically townhomes. Between the building and planning code, there are sometimes overlaps of language definition. Both a condominium and townhome are really ownership overlay mechanisms. So what we're approving tonight is what maybe the first step, which is a multi-household development, which is the kind of permitted use in which we approach that. So technically, to start, they're all apartments, if you want to think about it that way. During the building permit, or excuse me, building process, so after the building permit has been issued, so currently and up until that point, they will be multi-household. During the construction, when they have established the meets and bounds of each foundation, they will come back in and plat over the top as a townhome. So the difference between condominium being what you might consider paint to paint ownership, a townhome is what you might consider from sky to dirt. So you actually own the dirt underneath the structure and the roof included in your structure. There are different layouts within that mechanism, but they're really financing components are really how they differ from our perspective, from a more practical perspective. So they will be townhomes, but through that, those townhomes can be maintained even if they're all platted out. Every unit is individually identified as a townhome lot, so to speak. They can be maintained in group ownership and then basically operated as individual rentals. So much like an apartment. So that was what I think property owner's intention was for, I want to say maybe 6 is what I think I had talked to him last about, maybe 7 units being maintained by the overarching development LLC and then rented out. And of course, when we talk about renting out, that will have to mean to somebody living in Moab renting, likely, as our overnight accommodations parameters would not permit short-term rentals, leases less than 30 days. I think there really isn't more of a comment outside of when we get into the AEH, that new ordinance. Then that opens up a whole new spectrum of discussion. But I think for now that encapsulates it, unless I missed something, Jessica. Let me know if that.
No, thank you.
So yeah, just townhomes for sale, nothing, not apartments, not guaranteed rentals, and nothing guaranteeing that.
Right.
Is the applicant developer aware that the AEH is still in the works? It's just being tweaked and they don't want to hold off and wait? Because I think there could be some good things in there that would incentivize things for them too.
They are aware that we're working on it. They've been very eager to move forward because the cost of construction and of course supply chain every week really makes a huge difference. So they've been eager to get going in advance of that ordinance. Not much has been discussed as we're not quite sure what that ordinance is going to look like. For the public listening right now, a lot of the discussion is around amending that ordinance to potentially include what might be considered bonuses, by right bonuses in tandem with the ask that we're trying. So we're trying to allow for the compromise to occur just within the permitted code versus a voluntary situation. So we're hoping to, offer things. I don't want to get too much into it and overpromise, but things that might be really helpful for developers and make some of those requirements that we're looking at, for lack of a better term, pencil better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, cool. Yeah, it's a bummer that won't apply. I mean, if the developer, if you're listening, the applicant, it would mean a lot to the community. This is the location of 9 mobile homes where people were displaced, some of whom are still homeless. It would really go a long way for goodwill in the community if you really did actually set some of these aside for long-term rentals here in the community. My only pitch. Thanks. Okay. Any other questions from anybody? Okay, we can entertain a motion again. That is on page 1 of the agenda under recommended motion.
One more. Parking was off street, right? It was on the private drive.
There's
Parking
parking
was off
spaces,
street, right? There's
with every
garages
unit, yeah.
associated with each. That's right.
Yep.
I'll make a motion to recommend this. I move that the City of Moab Planning Commission conditionally approve planning resolution number 4-2022, a planning resolution conditionally approving level 2 site plan for the city center townhomes on property located at 196 North, 200 East, Moab, Utah, 84532, with the following condition. All outstanding comments shall be addressed to the satisfaction of Moab City Engineer and Planning Director prior to building permit application approval.
Okay, we have a motion, a second from anyone?
Second.
Okay, we have a second from Ruben. Any discussion before we take a vote? Questions from anyone? Okay. Jeremy,
Nay.
Jesso,
Aye.
Jill,
Aye.
Britt? What was that?
Aye.
Aye, okay, sorry. Thanks. Ruben?
Now, if I nay, would be further discussion. I think I'd rather talk about some of the nays from the commission, if any.
Where's the vote would be
Well, that's
3-2 right now. Is that correct? It would still pass.
She was an aye, yes. We have 3 ayes and a nay. Ruben and I have not voted.
Oh, we've got 6. That's right. In the context of what the parameters, again, of course, we can continue to vote, but we'll need
Yeah,
the
if we
qualifications of criteria as
Yeah.
to why we're denying it beyond a discretional element, which is okay. I'm fine if we have some items, but we'll need to note those as findings of fact to supply if we do vote against this.
Yeah, so with a site plan application that meets the criteria, we as an administrative body, not as a legislative body, have slightly less discretion than city council does say on something like this. So if we vote to table or continue the action to the next meeting, or if we deny the site plan application, we have to give specific findings for that decision. Everyone is of course entitled to vote however you would like, but if it ends up being a denial, which a tie would also be a denial because it's not approving it.
You would just wait for another motion.
You could
we
have
would.
another motion.
We
Yep.
would.
Just so just quick parliamentary
Yes.
explanation. We can continue the vote. Ruben, back to you.
Nay.
Okay, I vote yes. Motion passes 4-2. All right, that is our last agenda item of the evening. Thanks to everybody. Any future agenda items, Corey, things to watch out for? Again, really appreciate everybody attending. You know, we've had some confusion and some absences, and I really hope that ended last week and we can continue forward and have at least a quorum, if not great full attendance every meeting from now on. Corey, what do you got for us?
We do have a few site plans and final subdivision plats coming. We've just concluded DRT approval of Western Spirit remodel. They'll very likely be on our next agenda. And I'm going to look to Jesse to help remind me. I think we have what might be the Ridgeview Cove Estates subdivision final plat phase. I think it's 4, maybe 3. Part of the original Mill Creek Cove subdivision, and it's now a final. So we're moving that. There are 4 subdivisions. So that's where I'm kind of getting lost. Jessica, do you remember them off the top of your head? Portal Vista 3. Yeah, sorry to put you on the spot. Portal Vista 3 final phase will be coming most certainly. And there's 2 others. Sorry, off the top of my head. I have in my whiteboard in my office a whole list, but those I think are the ones that we actually were penciling to see at our city council meeting on May 10th. However, after meeting with our previous city attorney, trying to more completely understand our PUD and subdivision ordinances, which are a little bit antiquated, so that the procedural requirements are a little bit challenging to decipher. We're going to take them through a categorical approval that might be more current, which would require a planning commission recommendation at a final plat level, and then city council approval without a public hearing for the final plat. And given these have all had preliminary approvals historically.
Great.
Well, that one won't go. That was one of the 4. So we'll take that off. Portal Vista. So there's one more I'm forgetting. That was a site plan, and they may not be quite ready. No, that's all right. We won't keep us. We have got a lot going on with the RT. In fact, Jessica, I think over the course of not this last week, but even the prior, we had 7 applications come in between Thursday and Monday. So we're
And DRT for the folks at home.
is our development review team, which is our staff level processing and approval. So it includes all of our development departments, including engineering, public works, water reclamation, and then some of our private services like Dominion participate on that to ensure that by the time we get plans to the planning commission, city council, they've gone through all the lenses and all the different codes to ensure that plan meets the qualifications, which is why coming off the city center that we just approved is why if there's a denial, we need those findings of fact to justify versus going from there. But yeah, any applicants that are out listening tonight, thank you so much for your patience again. I've said that previous meetings as well. We are absolutely trying to get those projects moving the best we can.
Yeah, we're better staffed than we were, but it's still a couple folks doing a lot of people's jobs. So thanks for your patience, everyone. So quick note, Corey, I have a question for you that I might just want to have on a recording if that doesn't put you on the spot, but it's not anything that requires other commissioners. And I know this was a quick emergency meeting. And so I will adjourn the meeting, but maybe just keep things recorded. It's a question about 100 Arches Drive, just if you could explain that, because I keep getting questions.
Okay.
And it might
Okay.
be, if you're comfortable, just
I can
where
maybe
that
field the question
stands.
and see. Yeah,
Maybe field the question. Yeah, if you're okay. And if not, I get it. So
okay. I think we've officially adjourned, I suppose. Or
we haven't yet. We have not adjourned. I have not adjourned. I
Okay.
just wanted to make sure that was okay.
yeah.
Cool. Great. Okay, thanks everyone. Feel free to leave. If you want to stick around, we might have a little more of a discussion, but the meeting is officially adjourned at 6:38 p.m.
Perfect. Thank you.